feel so loved. I feel so cared for. I feel chosen. I feel protected by something I cannot see, by something I cannot hear, and it feels good. The second time I'm saying hi today. Like I promised you guys that I was going to tell you, I was going to do a story time. So I am going to start with this story and I'm going to start telling it. Let me hold this. I'm going to hold this on my hand, this microphone on my hand. So I'm gonna take this story time back to 2020. This is when I finished my degree at university. So I finished and I went back home. I remember this was the COVID time, so I went back home before we were closed. So I think I went back home in October or earlier, I'm not sure. So I went back home and, I was finishing with my studies. And then obviously I think I was done with my exams in November, right? And then I was waiting for my certificate. I can find, guys. Fine, I'm waiting for my certificate, and this is during the time when teacher assistants were being called in schools and the schools wanted teacher assistants and stuff like that. So I applied for that and I got in, right? Remember now, I'm done with my studies. I am not getting any allowance from school anymore because I was getting quite a nice amount of allowance. So I never had to worry about food. Obviously didn't have to worry about a place to stay because I was staying at home. And all the stuff. And one other thing that is quite a responsibility when it comes to me is that I have the responsibility of my baby brother, right? So finding I would also take my allowance and buy my baby brother some stuff that he needs, because let me not vilify my baby brother. He does have a good understanding when it comes to, when I can't afford something. He doesn't force it, but I think because I grew up not having a lot of stuff in my life, I'm not talking about my needs. I had everything that I needed. I never had to worry about where my meal is going to come from or where am I going to sleep and stuff like that. All the needs were covered. I was very good at convincing myself that I didn't need that. And that is one of the things I'm very thankful for to myself, is that I was very good at convincing myself that I didn't need a lot of stuff. And to be quite honest, I really did not need it. But when you're a child and you see other children having certain things and you're just I wish I had that. I never even felt that way. And I think that also has to do with the kind of friends that I kept. Me and my friends would literally make fun of ourselves and be like, hi, and this is competition bad and or something like that, And as much as it is quite a very serious and sad thing, we would say it in a way that we would just laugh about it and not we wouldn't feel sorry for ourselves. We'd never feel sorry for ourselves. We'd just laugh it off. And, I guess at the back of our minds, knowing that we're going to grow up and we're going to have our own money and we're going to try to get ourselves all the things that we want. You know what I mean? So anyways, I'm diverting back to my story. I didn't have any allowance, but fortunately, I got accepted and I was assisting in a school back at home, right? So I was getting my I don't remember how much it was exactly, but it was 3,000 and something. And I was buying food. I was also getting stuff for my baby brother when he needs some stuff. So I never had to worry still. But it came to an end, I think, after a year. After a few, 6 months, I don't remember. I really don't remember, you guys. It came to an end, but luckily, I was one of the teacher assistants that was chosen by a school that I was working at to stay as a substitute teacher. So I stayed there, and obviously the money was not the same. It was less because like schools at home, guys, don't have a lot of money. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting to be paid a lot of money anyways, but it was not easy. You know what I mean? The money that I was getting paid was just enough for groceries, to be honest. But I had, like I said, I had other responsibilities. So it was pretty tough. So I was really, really, really depressed. And I think I got to a point where I didn't know what I should do. And honestly, there's so many times in my life where I felt like if it wasn't for my baby brother, I would have taken my life. So my baby brother is one of the people that I'm so thankful for just being here. You know what I mean? I'm just thankful for his life. And I think another thing that was depressing me was that my baby brother is quite naughty. So it's just all of those stresses, and I'm someone that I wouldn't know how to describe myself, but when I feel negative emotions, I feel them very deeply. That's the best way I can describe it. So I was really struggling, and also I was going through something at that time in my life that I can't disclose right now, maybe later. But I was going through something, and it was just like a collection of all these things that are happening. And you know, I felt like I was just like thrown in a hole, in a dark hole, and I couldn't get out. You know what I mean? So it was really a struggle, to be honest. I was really struggling mentally. Financially, not so much, because back at home, guys, as much as this money was like literally just enough for the food, you don't need a lot of money when you're back home, especially if you're just someone who just sits at home and literally do nothing. So when it comes to finances, I wouldn't say that I was struggling like that. I was still making ends meet. I still had food to, and that's the first thing I would make sure. One thing about me, when I have my money, I make sure that everything that I need, I have it, and then with the change, I'd do any other thing that I would like. So like I said, I was going through all of that, and it was such a dark place in my life at that time. I think I literally reached a point where I was about to break. I've had so many of those points, but that time I was going through it. Honestly, I was really going through it. So this other time, I was with my boyfriend at the time. This other time, I was really going through it, really just going through one of my episodes. I'd literally just wake up in the middle of the night and start cleaning stuff and start like doing things like just being depressed, just being in a dark space. I literally just start cleaning, but I'm just banging things around and stuff like that. So I had one of those episodes. I woke up very early in the morning and I started cleaning, and I was so angry and I was so sad at the same time. And then I don't remember what time it was, but when I woke up, it was pretty dark. It was still dark. And I remember when the sun started coming up, not really the sun, but like when the sky was starting to clear up and it was starting to like be bright, I literally walked out of the house and I didn't know where I was going, right? I walked out and I had no idea where I was going. I remember my boyfriend, when I came back, he said he wanted to come after me, but something told him, or like he felt like he shouldn't. So I walked out and I was just walking, not knowing where I was going. And I ended up going to my mom's grave. I went in there and I was angry. I was feeling a mixture of emotions. It was not just anger, it was sadness, it was just a lot of things that I was feeling. I remember when I got there, I literally just threw myself at my mom's grave. I literally just threw myself and I started crying. Guys, I did not cry like cry inside okanye cry silently okanye nje ivolume. I literally was screaming. You know what I mean? Like I was just breaking down. I mean, almost every time when I go to my mom's grave, I literally just break down, and most of the time it's usually because I truly do miss my mom. I know people that lost their moms or lost their parents, they know how that feels. I literally miss my mom every day. So whenever I go to her grave, I break down. I do break down. But that day, it was not just breaking down because I miss her. It was breaking down because I was like, what am I supposed to do now? You know what I mean? I think what I was feeling that day was anger towards myself, towards the world, and towards her. It was just like a feeling of, you left me here and you didn't just leave me by myself. You left me here with someone that, although it is sometimes a pleasure to take care of my brother, it can sometimes feel like a burden. And I'm not ashamed to say that. It can be, especially when I'm going through a hard time, because sometimes when I am going through something and I feel like I cannot provide, I feel like if it was just me, it was going to be better, because I love my brother more than I love myself. I am very convinced about that. So sometimes when I'm going through something and it's just a hard space in my life, I feel I would do better if it was just me, because I'm very ashamed to say this, I don't quite love myself that much or as much as I love my brother. So I feel like even if I would struggle, I would just take things as they come. But when I'm struggling and I have to think of my brother, I get angry. I'm angry because my brother cannot suffer. That's one thing that I promised myself from a very young age, that my brother cannot suffer. So when I feel myself getting to that point where I'm not going to be able to provide for him, I get really angry. So I was very angry, and even though I was not saying the words, I think I was saying to my mom, Uba, you have to do something about this. You know what I mean? Not just for me, but for my baby brother. You can't just be quiet. And Danding I'm going, guys, like Danding I'm going, I was crying with so much anger in me, and I was telling her, but Sissy, you can't just be resting. You can't rest, you know. And while I was crying there hysterically, someone obviously from the neighborhood, people were hearing me. And someone came out, like Umama Mdala, an old lady. And she sent kids to come and fetch me, right? And she was asking me, she didn't really ask me, she was just comforting me. All this time. You know what I mean? But obviously, you're not just going to come out, especially if mama, you're a woman, you're not just going to come out when you hear someone screaming in the early hours of the morning, because it's quite dangerous. So she said that she was hearing me for quite a while, but eventually she told herself, bye man, let me go check what's happening outside. And she went out, and these kids were like helping me, like kind of carrying me, if I could put it like that, because I had no energy in me. I was just lying there and crying. And I remember I cried until I was tired because I was crying with strength. So I went to her and she asked me Uba ndingowapi and all of that, and then she sent me to my mom's. Remember I told you guys that when I go to my mom's grave, I marked it with the family home. So she sent me there. And then it was so emotional, guys. Everyone was crying. They were asking me by Indon. And obviously I can't, well, not obviously, I just couldn't say everything that was bothering me, because it was not just the fact that I'm going through it in terms of like my life, it seems so stagnant. It was other things that were bothering me, but I couldn't say everything. And then I went back home, got here, everyone was talking, but man, like they even called my aunt, which was Utapswam, and we were talking it out, and then I went back home, right? So before all of this happened, I had gone for an interview. I had this other girl on my WhatsApp that I went to school with. She was not like a friend, she was more of like an acquaintance, but we got each other's numbers when we were back at school. I guess it was through like we were gonna work together on a group thing, right? And I kept her number. So she put on her status that she was working for this company, and the manager in the lab where she was working was looking for interns. She was looking for interns for the lab. And then I applied for this job, which is one of the reasons why I always encourage people not to burn bridges and block people's numbers, especially if they are not toxic to you, like they're not impacting your life in a negative manner, you know what I mean? If it's just like a relationship during in Amsterdam, you know what I mean? I encourage people to keep in contact with other people, or at least not like block them, because honestly you never know who's going to help you. So fine, this girl posted this on her status, and I saw it and I applied. I got an interview. I went for the interview here in Cape Town. I went for the interview and I came back. When I came back, they were looking for one microbiologist initially, but I remember it was two of us that went for the interview. The other person that I went to the interview with was also someone from the same university, and I met him there. He was coming out of the interview and I was gonna go for mine, and we were like, hey, and all of that. Fine, okay. We went, and then we exchanged numbers with this other guy. I also had his number, but somehow I think he changed numbers, or I lost his number. So we exchanged numbers again. Fine, okay, we were chatting. After the interview, we were like, it was so bad. I know my interview went terrible. Oh, that's what I thought. I thought that it went terrible, and I was just telling myself, but you know what, Bahle, you're going to miss this. You're not going to get it. Fine. I went back home. I even tell my boyfriend, but I'm not going to get it, bruh. And I tell my aunt, I told my aunt, but no, it was terrible. I don't think I'm going to get it. But I was so thankful that I had at least got called for an interview. Now I know what to expect to the next interview in terms of this field of work. Fine, I went back home. And then this incident of me going to my mom's grave happened, because when I came back and I kind of felt like I was not going to get the job, I was so depressed, you guys. I was so depressed. I did not like staying at home. I did not like the fact that I could not do the things I wanted to do. I just felt like my life was so stagnant, and I was just feeling depressed. I was just feeling like I was locked in somewhere and I could not get out, you know. And so this is when I went to my mom's grave and all of this happened. And like I said, I was really just telling her, but Sissy, you have to do something about this. I need to get out of here. I need to make something of myself so that I can provide for both me and your last born child. I am telling you, I don't even want to say it wasn't even a week after I went to my mom's grave and I was crying. I got a call and I got a second interview, but this time it was online. I went for we did the interview and I had some type of hope, and I think after a while, but after the interview that was online, obviously I was feeling some type of hope. And then I think after a while I was told that, okay, you got the job, you're gonna start. I went back home and I told my boyfriend that there's no way I did this myself, bruh. There's no way I did this myself. My my mother had something to do with this, the power of a mother's love. You know what I mean? I remember I shared a post on my Facebook, but I took it down for some reason. The power of a mother's love, you guys, it will break through anything. This is what I believe. I know that it might sound like so absurd to other people, and this is probably one of the reasons why I feel, I don't know, I cringe when I tell stories like this, because we are different people who believe in different things. I'm so sorry, you guys. This camera keeps well, actually it's a phone, so I think it's space or something. But anyways, I'm wearing my glasses. I think on some part of the video it was off, but I'm wearing them because when the sun hits my face, my eyes just close up so much. So anyways, I was saying that, like, sometimes I cringe when I tell these stories because I don't know what other people are feeling. Maybe when I say stuff like this, other people that don't believe in the things that I believe in, they're like, are you sure it was that? You know what I mean? So yeah, but this is how I feel like my mom was. I awakened her when I went to her grave that day. I awakened her, and I made her feel like she had to do something about my life. And I think I might go again and go and disturb her and tell her, oh, Bachong, I guess this again, but anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. That is the end of my story time, and that basically is how I feel like my mom helped me from wherever she is. And I feel so loved, I feel so cared for, I feel chosen, I feel protected by something I cannot see, by something I cannot hear, and it feels good. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you guys will enjoy the story time. I shall see you next time. Maybe I might do another story time. I don't know, guys. I always doubt myself when I'm about to tell story times, but I think I might do it again. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment down below. Thank you. Bye.